throughout the evening. A lot of independent voters in Wisconsin, 30% of them were independent. But there is now no way, George, there's no way to win this without winning Florida.
The whole ball game now is Florida. Whoever wins Florida.
We now project that Iowa is going to go for Mr. Gore. We project that in Iowa, Mr. Gore is going to be the winner of the presidential campaign in Iowa. These have suddenly come upon us here. 7 electoral votes. State voted Democrat in the last 3 elections. This is one, George, of the Dukakis 6
One of the Dukakis
states.
6. And when you
want to
look
explain that again for our early morning audience?
The George W. Bush campaign made a special effort in several states, Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, West Virginia, which Michael Dukakis won back in 1988. Bill Clinton won twice, but they thought they could be competitive in. They won West Virginia, but it looks like right now Al Gore, according to our projections, has won Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota, and Washington. Oregon is still hanging out there. If you look at the map now, Peter, it's kind of amazing. You can see Al Gore
opposite ends of the country.
Right, and Al Gore can win Oregon. It only gets him to 267. And the same thing with George W. Bush. Florida is the entire ball game right now, and according to our latest numbers, George Bush is leading by about 906 votes, according to the latest projections, and that's what it'll come down to. And the recount, we don't know how long it'll take, but it certainly will take well into tomorrow.
So at 5 minutes after 5 on the day after the election, Mr. Gore has 260 electoral votes, and as George so rightly points out, if he won Oregon with its 7 electoral votes, it would still not be enough. Mr. Bush has 246. He can win Oregon, and it won't make the difference to him. So in some respects, it doesn't matter at all how Oregon goes at the moment on which we had counted so much.
There's recounts in Iowa and Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's true. But it all comes down to Florida. Let's take a look at the popular vote throughout the country at the moment. The board I'm looking at suggests that currently Mr. Gore is still slightly ahead by a couple of 100,000 votes with 47,689,000. Mr. Bush, 47,430,000. And let's take a look at the popular vote in Florida. Now that it's all down to Florida, no questions asked whatsoever. For Mr. Gore, 2,904,403. For Mr. Bush, 2,905,390. We want to do the math on that very quickly for me. But a slight tick up here for Mr. Bush, a little under 1,000 votes. A slight tick up there for Mr. Bush, but that is not the issue because we already know when it is less than half of 1% in the state of Florida. Okie dokie. Who is it, please? Jamie Wilson on the phone, the executive director of the Republican Party in Florida. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
We're as fascinated by this as we can possibly be. What do you think is going to happen? There's going to be an official recount, right?
Well, there will be an official recount, Peter. First of all, I would like to say that we have won this race. The next president of the United States is going to be George W. Bush. We have to go through the process now of an automatic recount here in Florida. But we have won this state, and once we go through the recount, I think that we will find that the numbers will be identical to what they are and that George W. Bush will be elected with the help of Florida.
Why are you so confident?
Well, because the votes have been tallied. We've been keeping pretty good tally, as have you, on the votes coming in. And look, while no one is overly confident, we believe that the votes have been counted correctly, and that once this recount is over, that we'll find that the vote count is the same.
Mr. Wilson, have you heard the complaint from some Democrats that they actually thought they were voting for Mr. Gore and they ended up voting for Mr. Buchanan, punched the wrong hole?
Well, Peter, there's a lot of speculation about a lot of different things at this point right now. A lot of it we're putting in the rumor mill column, and the in the part of that the Democrats are going to do a lot of strange things between now and the time this recount is finished, and we're just going to have to play this out. And we're convinced that when we do, the Secretary of State's office will certify this election from Florida for George W. Bush. Have you
yourself or your team come upon any irregularities in the state of Florida tonight?
No, none that we can talk about. And I'm not saying that we have found any. The point is, no, we have not We have not found any. We have not heard any complaints from our side about irregularities like that, no.
We believe there's now a 987 vote difference in Florida. Do you agree with that figure?
We've got a few hundred more than that, Peter, but it's not anything, it's not too much more than that.
And do you have any reasonable expectation that the absentee ballot is going to break your way to any degree that hasn't already been taken into account?
Well, the ones that are outstanding that you've been talking about for a while on your network of the overseas
Right.
service folks, those normally go our way. You've seen by history that military voters normally vote in favor of Republicans by absentee ballot, and we're expecting that will probably increase our margin a little bit, and then we'll add a few more votes to it.
What do you know about the modalities of the recount itself? Do you know when it'll begin? Have you had the vaguest idea how long it'll take? Do you have any idea who's going to be involved?
Well, there's a lot of question about that right now. It will begin almost immediately.
Like tonight?
We're obviously, nobody's gone to bed yet around here,
Right.
and there's a lot of preliminary work being done on it. I believe that the recount effort will begin sometime later today. But I'm not sure exactly whether we would be finished with this today or whether this would go into tomorrow or not.
You realize, of course, that the entire election now comes down to your state.
Yeah, we sure do.
You've just seen us call 2 states. The only one that's outstanding is Oregon. It won't make any difference. So it's all in the hands of Florida now.
Right.
That must send chills up your spine.
Well, it's quite a heavy burden, but it's one that we carry we will carry greatly. Being able to say that this is the state that put George W. Bush over the top.
Have you talked to Governor Jeb Bush at all this evening?
Well, I have not specifically spoken to him. We've had our chairman here in town has spoken to him quite a few times this evening.
And he cannot be thrilled about matters at the moment.
Well, look, first of all, the networks, we believe, called this race much too early in the evening for Vice President Gore. Then it was in limbo for a long time, and then right at the last minute was called for us, and then now we're finding ourselves in the current situation, which we think will be resolved in our favor. But point being is that it has been an awful long night. I would assume that our Governor Jeb Bush, along with every other Floridian and Republicans everywhere, are obviously concerned about the outcome. But we're very confident, Peter, that once this is finished, we will have a president named George W. Bush in the White House.
Well, I'm grateful you're giving us the time. Is there anything you think we've missed in trying to assess what's happening in Florida this evening?
Well, I don't know. Did you vote absentee? Do you have a summer home here?
No, I don't. But I can certainly see how hard you're looking. I appreciate you giving us the time.
You bet.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The head of the Republican Party in Florida this evening. The latest thing that's been given to me here is what we sometimes described as the tick-tock of Mr. Gore's evening. This is just a sort of a chronology of what happened. He did call Mr. Bush and concede. He was 2 blocks away from the War Memorial in Nashville when his aide got a page asking him to call Michael Hooley, one of the campaign officials. Woolley told him what the Secretary of State website had actually said. That's the website we were pointed at by our political director, Mark Halpern, pointed out at the discrepancies that existed between the Secretary of State's website and the VNS, the Voter News Service collection agency. They then held at the War Memorial. They changed their minds. Then Mr. Daley called Don Evans, who is, remind me, I'm going blank here, Mr. Bush's chairman and counterpart. Mr. Gore called Mr. Bush again, and as you heard Dean Reynolds or Terry Moran, they're referring to it from one of the campaigns, said, thank you very much, you can forget about the concession. 20 minutes ago, Mr. Gore closed the door and went to bed. If not to sleep, he went to bed. His aides have no idea what he will do tomorrow. And it's exactly the same in the Republican camp tonight. We do not know that Mr. Bush has gone to bed. Certainly his chairman in the Republican committee still is pretty energized at the moment, but we do know that the crowds that were gathered there in Austin and in Nashville have dissipated in the late night rain and gone home to their beds, if not to sleep, for another evening. So, you'd like to have another look at Mr. Daley? I'm very grateful. Our producer says he's just trying to help. I suppose the question I'd like to know the answer to, if it's possible, is when the Secretary of State, if we have the vaguest idea, is actually going to come and make Catherine Harris the official announcement of that she's going to hold a recount, or do we need the official announcement that she's going to hold a recount?
Well, I mean, I think there's a little ambiguity here because until you see the final numbers, and as we've seen, the numbers are still coming in, you don't know whether it will be within that 0.5% that makes it automatic.
It is currently at 987 votes, the difference. It is certainly within the half of 1%.
But we remember it wasn't so long ago when it was 30,000. So it could bob outside that. I suspect that even if it did, that we might still have some sort of request for a recount from the Gore campaign after all this. But Jamie Wilson said before you talked to him on the air that he thought this would happen relatively soon. And clearly, I don't think anybody wants it to go slow. But as we've talked about, who knows what this will be confined to? Will this be confined to simply a recount of the current ballots, or will it be a full-fledged investigation? And will it go beyond Florida? The Democrats are already telling us about more and more things they claim to be finding about other possible irregularities, errors, other things that could have affected the vote.
Mark, you know these people. You and George know these people better than anybody, so you know precisely when they're spinning. I understand the Democratic instinct now to find as many flaws as possible in something that is this close. How much of it do you think you're being spun, and how much of it do you think is real, or is it hard to tell?
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about legitimacy and how important it is that the election result is accepted by the American people. This is sort of the worst case scenario. Two campaigns who hate each other and talking to campaign aides on both sides. No love lost, very harsh feelings, and this is an uncontrolled situation. The rules of the game aren't very clear. We're dealing with a big state, a big diverse state, which a rich political tradition. And so I think, you know, it's going to be hard to know how to police this. And obviously everyone's going to descend on Florida and try to find it. But in this media age, there's going to be as many stories as there are websites that want to print them about what might have happened on both sides in Florida.
I have no idea what the websites we're doing tonight, but we had a pretty good time getting a lot of confusion on the networks themselves. I look here at new Florida Department of State numbers, which say Mr. Bush, 2,905,723. Gore, 2,904,932. That's a margin for Mr. Bush of 791. A couple of minutes ago, somebody handed me 987. It's just that fluid, I think is what you're trying to say.
Do you see the words written underneath the total now? Do you have that on there? Where it says runoff indicated?
No, I don't, to be perfectly honest, but explain what you mean.
Well, I've now lost the site, but just a moment I had it up before it went away.
There it is again.
And it says underneath, we'll see if we can get it back, not in that version, maybe if we can refresh that computer version, it said runoff election indicated.
In other words, a recount.
That's right.
Okay. I hate to tell you, we're also on fire here at the moment. May I? Yes, please, go ahead. We're not always right, but we're very efficient. Thanks, gentlemen, very much. You know, it's a very, I mean, I realize at this hour of the night we're probably broadcasting to ourselves in many respects, but it's a very good time for me to say thank you to our local fire department, but also thank you. The technical crew here at our headquarters in New York has been absolutely superb. Someday we should have film of cameramen moving as vigorously and alertly as they do, and all of our technical people all around the country. I don't think there's been a flaw tonight of any meaningful nature. George, phew.
Well,
you talk, I'll check the fire.
Check that out. Yes, Peter, just to pick up on what Mark was saying a little bit earlier, I think, to pick up on what Mark was saying just a second ago. Okay, is my mic on now? Sorry, I guess it's not.
No, I don't think
Sorry, thank you. I was just trying to say, picking up on what Mark said just a little bit ago, there will be other reports of problems in the state of Florida. We've gotten some reports from our research that perhaps up in around the Tallahassee area, state troopers were stopping voters on their way to the polls, asking for their driver's license, kind of these ballot integrity measures you sometimes see. The African-American community would be very concerned about that. There really is no way to control the various complaints once this gets started in the state of Florida. I do, though, believe, Peter, as I said earlier, I think once the recount is done, I think there will be enormous pressure on Vice President Gore to abide by that unless there's a wild discrepancy.
Okay, thanks very much, George. I apologize. I've come over here because I cannot hear you. So now that we've set the place on fire, maybe we can change the batteries in my interrupted feedback. I now hear it fine. Thank you very much.
Peter, just
Sam Donaldson. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, George.
Just going to say, you know, the Congress is also scheduled to come into a lame duck session before Thanksgiving. And if this recount isn't done before then, you'll see them trying to weigh in on the political debate as well.
Exactly. Thanks, George. Yes, I hear fine now. Thanks very much. Sam.
Well, Peter, we're waiting for 2 more Senate races to be called. Only 2. And I think the preoccupation has properly been on Florida. But let's just review what we're waiting for. Michigan, where Senator Spencer Abrams, the Republican incumbent, hard pressed by Debbie Stabenow, who is the Democratic challenger. We can't call this, too close to call. In Washington State, another Republican incumbent, Slade Gorton. We don't know whether he's going to come back to the Senate because his challenger, former House Representative Maria Cantwell, is right there on his tail. By the way, Maria Cantwell is worth about $40 million and has spent about $10 million of her own money in that race. We can just recap for people who have just joined us, people who have just gotten up.
Just before you do, Sam, you know, because we forget that maybe 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30 in the morning in the East, but people are still up in Washington State watching that very close Washington Senate election, which is too close to call. Why don't you talk just a little bit more about it, Debbie?
Okay.
Or Maria Cantwell.
Well, Slade Gorton won a Senate seat some time back, and he lost it, and he recouped it in 1988, and now he's being hard-pressed. Maria Cantwell had 1 term in the House. Slade Gorton is very friendly to Microsoft, Redmond, Washington, big company. Maria Cantwell made her money with sort of a rival firm, not in all respects, but in some respects, Real Networks. And so it's sort of a battle between these 2 giants in the internet field. As I say, she put $10 million of her own money into this race. Whether it's going to do any good, I don't know. Mark Dayton, the department store heir, who put $10 million of his race, defeated Rod Grahams, a Republican incumbent. As we know, John Corzine in New Jersey put $52 million of his money in his race, and he won in New Jersey.
And there was one other infusion of money in Washington State when a lot of the local Indian tribes and also Indian tribes from elsewhere around the country put money in to defeat Slade Gorton if they could.
That's right. Absolutely. So you could say it's a battle of money. You could say it's a battle of a senator who a lot of people thought got a little out of touch. Some people don't like Maria Cantwell. We just can't call it. But, Peter, let me just recap some of the people who were defeated that you might have known about. In Delaware, Bill Roth, who was the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, 5-term senator, 79 years of age, has been defeated, ABC News projects, by Tom Carper, who is the state's governor. And in Virginia, George Allen, the former governor, a Republican, ABC News has projected, has defeated Chuck Robb, a 2-term senator. He was Lyndon Johnson's son-in-law, as you know. That was a loss for the Democrats. In Missouri, ABC News has projected that Mel Carnahan's name, he was the governor killed in a plane crash 3 weeks ago, has drawn more votes than that of John Ashcroft, the incumbent Republican senator. Jean Carper, his widow, we're told, will be appointed to the Senate, but there can be a legal challenge on that before she gets there. Let's just look at Florida. Bill Nelson, a Democrat, has won that seat. It was an open seat. Connie Mack, a Republican, retired. We think Bill Nelson defeated Bill McCollum, a member of the House of Representatives. And as I said, in Minnesota, Rod Grahams, a Republican incumbent, was defeated by Mark Dayton. Now, what this means, Peter, what all this means is that the Democrats have picked up 2 seats at the moment. The Senate was 54-46 Republican. 2 seats. If they pick up these 2 seats that are still in doubt, it'll be a tie. But no matter which party wins the presidency, the Republicans will still control the Senate.
Okay, Sam, thank you much. I want to ask Mark Halperin and George Stephanopoulos a question that's going to be raised, I think, all over the country tomorrow by the media critics, if not by the general public, because you're both pros in this game. Neither one of you, I know, really love the idea of projecting elections. You'd like it to be counted vote by vote all out across the country. I think many of us would. Do you think this difficulty that we have had in Florida tonight is going to call into question in any serious way the media now does these things?
I think it will. Again, I'm not sure you can necessarily control it, because there will always be an appetite, certainly from the campaigns and from the media, to know exactly what has happened throughout the campaign. I think it's going to be part of a broader debate, Peter. You've seen throughout this campaign over the constant horse race polling of the elections, and whether or not, 1, the polls are accurate, and 2, whether they have some sort of a Heisenberg's effect on the race. By measuring the race so constantly, so intensely, does it somehow change the race? You'll see that debate as well. If anything, it's probably going to make all of us, though, more careful about the projections. But I do think it's hard to account for a race that is, within 1,000 votes in a state
Right.
so large.
With so many anomalies as this one had this evening. Mark?
I think the press is going to get a lot of criticism for this, and I think we have an opportunity fortuitously right now to try to do a little better job maybe than we did tonight in some ways in trying to cover this race, and as George said, in some of the poll-driven coverage. The whole country now is going to have to deal with the implications of this. It's going to be very tough with this recount and with the question of the legitimacy of the next president, and I think the press will have to try to play the role we play when we're at our highest and best.
Well, it's a dilemma for everybody, and this is the liveliest tabloid in New York City. It's been very supportive of Mr. Bush. You cannot blame them for being caught this evening. I don't know what time they started their press run, but lots of newspapers have had this dilemma tonight. This is a very bright, lively, widely read tabloid in New York City, quite conservative in nature, so quite supportive of Mr. Bush. So we are going to sign off for now. We hope you'll stay tuned for World News This Morning with Antonia Mora, and then full live coverage of Good Morning America with Charlie Gibson and Diane Sawyer. We're going to leave you with just a few seconds of images from this campaign, but thanks to all of my colleagues everywhere, and thanks to all of you who spent so much time with us in this unexpected event.
Next president of the United States. I announce that I am a candidate for president of
There's no turning back, and I intend to be the next president of the United
I'm
States.
here running for president to ask for your help.
This nation does not want 4 more years of Clinton Gore.
Where's the Secret Service?
The governor of Texas, George W.
I love it.
He gave Oprah a kiss, but he wore my shirt and tie.
Oh, don't be a wonk, will ya? Come on.
No kiss. I was hoping for something.
Hey, let me ask you, did you call Oprah a wonk?
Tonight we have good news from sea to shining sea.
Let's win this election. Spinning wheel. Got to go round.
We got the momentum.
Talking about your
This is heaven. All kinds of babies to kiss.
This race is dead.
Mr. Chairman, I proudly accept your nomination.
And I stand here tonight as my own man.
It's time to have new leadership in Washington,
I'm
D.C.
going to fight for you.
We trust the hardworking people of America.
They're for the powerful. We're for the people.
This is a man who's got great numbers. I'm beginning to think not only did he invent the internet, but he invented the calculator.
Governor Bush, you have attacked my character, and I am not going to respond in kind.
Here we are with 4 days to go in the campaign, and we're discussing something that happened 24 years ago.
We hope and believe we have elected the next president of the United States. They're still counting. They're still counting.
I don't think there's ever been a night like this one. This race has come down to the state of Florida.